the first ones on the house.
Let's practice. Everyone sing me a song in the key of. Yes. I love it. That was so good. So good. So one of the things, just kind of like a tidbit, when you're in the classroom and you're talking with the kids, it's a lot of times us as adults, and even like sometimes when you're just trying to be authoritative in a classroom, a lot of times we'll say, sing me a song key of, or you're like telling everyone to quiet down, and then you'll just say thank you and end it, right? And be like, then you just move forward, right? Something that I've learned just over the years, as well as just kind of realizing it even more and more. A lot of our kids have really come to a place where all they've been told is like what to do and what not to do. And there's very seldom those moments where they really feel like they're being empowered or encouraged in the moment. Does that make sense? Right? So it's like a lot of times we're like, okay, we're told, here's the expectations of the classroom, here's this, here's that, here's this, and all the kids are like, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this, we got to do that, right? And it's really helpful, even just as a teacher in the room, being able to empower your kids in such a way by speaking life into them. And a really simple, really like basic, simple way to do that is to call it out of them in the room when you're implementing an expectation. So what I mean by that is when we just did that, like singing a song in the key of shh, right? And they wound up, everyone does it. All of a sudden, you can just look back and just be like, you know what? I just appreciate all of you for your obedience today. Like, that was a perfect way of being obedient. You are obedient. You are the person that wants to listen to rules. You are the person that wants to have fun. You are, and then you start just like going into this place of encouragement and empowerment in them. And it does something to, like, just being able to hear that for yourself, right? As a person sitting in a room, right? You're in a business meeting and all of a sudden your boss just starts speaking life into you and saying, wow, you did such a great job today. You did such a wonderful job. You are just, that project turned out beautifully. All of a sudden you kind of feel like, wow, all right, I did this. Yeah, I did it, right? And you just then want to do more of it, right? You just want to keep going. You want to keep doing it and keep motivated. And so the thing is, that's such a simple thing to do within the classroom, of being able to pull that out of your kids to the point where it's like all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I want to do that more. I want to get more of that. Because you don't get that seldom. Like, you don't get that a lot, right? We'll get it when we're coaching. That's why sports teams is so popular. Because when they're coaching, all of a sudden your coach tells you, yo, good job. And pat on the back, all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, I did it, right? And it's being able to move forward. Does that make sense? So it's just a really simple, basic thing, and I just want to encourage all of you to do that in your rooms, right? That when you're implementing an expectation, we're like, oh, are you being respectful right now? Are we being positive right now? How can we be positive in this moment, right? And then when they start to reply and give the answer that, not whether you're looking for it or not, it's like, yes, absolutely. That was great. You did that on your own. You did that. How can we do that more of that, right? Like being able to really motivate them, okay? All right, so, whoops, I went backwards. All right, so for rotation, you good?
You can explain the rotation.
So rotation is a 6 month rotation. What that looks like is 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. What I mean by that is doesn't necessarily mean like you do like the first and second week or the third and fourth week. It's you do the first 2 weeks, then the 2 weeks off, then the next 2 weeks. But sometimes that may change with a fifth week of the month, right? So then all of a sudden it kind of flips sometimes where you're doing like a first and last, and then a second and third. And so it just changes. But these are the actual dates of this rotation, okay? And then as you notice, I have here baby dedication, family worship. So those days, okay, on there means that for baby dedication, it may take a little longer in service upstairs, right? And the kids may get dismissed a little bit later. So then it's something for you to prep as you're prepping for a curriculum, prepping for your classroom, being able to do all those things, as well as it says family worship kids upstairs. That means they're upstairs the entire service, right? Which means that we don't have class downstairs, which means that you get to enjoy service upstairs with everyone. Does that make sense? Okay. You will also get this schedule emailed to you and texted to you, all right? And we'll also have a printout for you to be able to have in your hands, okay? Just so that you can make sure to plan out those days. If you, by any means, have any kind of vacation time or something, let's say something suddenly happens, right? Being able to like communicate that not only with us, but as we're going to continue talking about a little bit later, being able to communicate that with the other team in case you need to switch weeks.
Yes.
Right? So for example, let's say 9/11, you're like, okay, I'm going to be out. I'm going to be doing something else. Or even for September 4th, Labor Day weekend, like I'm going to be out. I'm going to be camping. I'm going to be doing this. Then that means you can actually contact Team B and say, hey, I'll switch with you. I'll do the 18th. Can you do the 4th? Does that make sense? Right? So being able to work as a team, as a whole, is really, really important. You want to do scheduler?
Yes. So scheduling.
Oh, question. Yes, sorry.
Just to backtrack on what you just said.
Yeah.
I noted you said contact Team B if you're in Team A.
Right.
So do we contact Team B directly, or do we go through?
You're going to contact Team B. So what happens is what we're doing is we're going to provide you with a full contact list of your team for your room, right? Does that make sense to everyone? Yes, no? So what that looks like, what I mean by that is that being able, I'll get to you in a second, being able to square room, star room, not only are you going to have the contact information of the team that you're serving with on that day, but then you're going to have the contact information of the service of the team that's serving the following 2 weeks. Okay? And then you are going to collaborate as a team about what those things are going to be, whether that's for vacation times, whether that's for anything else. Understood? Yeah? Beatrice, what's up?
For our group, what we do is we all kind of like talk to each other and put each other in like a big group.
Yep.
And then the lead teachers, we had their numbers separate in case there's like an emergency or something, but that's how we communicated. So nobody was like, oh, I have to text, or it was a confusion. Like, you knew you can go to that chat to discuss anything with trades and stuff. So it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we're doing. So there's going to be group chats. Group chats for text message. Group chats going to be available. I know some people are like, oh, group chats. Because you get all these notifications. You're like, really? But the thing is, the really important about this group chat, though, is that when you see it actually notify you, it's actually meaning that it's communication, right? This isn't like a group chat that you're going to be putting in like a bunch of GIFs and like it's really communication to help keep you all in the same page when it comes to the classroom, even when it comes to the kids, right? If you're having trouble with one of the kids in the room and that's for your 2 weeks and you're like, this kid really needs like some empowerment and needs some life spoken into them, they really need the help, then you can communicate that with the other team in the chat and saying, hey, so-and-so was in class the last 2 weeks, was having a really hard time. This is what helped. This is what didn't help, right? So that when the team comes in the next 2 weeks, they're like, oh, we already know this kid, we're going to do this way, and that we know it works. And there's consistency, because that's the biggest thing right now that we need in the classroom is that consistency. Make sense? Yes? Any other questions? Okay. So schedule.
So on a side note of that, for the communication piece, I will be included in on the group chat, so I will know if there was a change. That's important for me to know. So according to the schedule, I'm going to do my best in conveying the message to you guys, as I've been in this position for 4 weeks. So I may deflect to Monique if I miss anything.
We got this.
So 9:15 to 10:15 is the teacher training. And that would be the teacher training.
So it's going to be up till October. So this schedule is actually going to be up till October, where we are going to be communicating. We're going to be doing a bunch of different trainings. Pastor Mike, it's really important, just as you heard last week, of just the culture that he wants to establish back into children's ministry, and just being able to really get everyone together and on the same page. What we're going to be doing is working on a couple of different things. We're going to be learning about time management. We're going to be learning about managing a classroom. We're going to be learning about when you see a child that is just going through some really behavioral things, what does it look like to keep track with that, paper-wise, but as well as being able, because Pastor Mike is not just now director of children's ministry going back into it, but he's also our family pastor, right? And something that's really important is being able to establish connection with children and families to be able to get them resources and the help that they need outside of the building. Okay, so this is the reason why for training, we're just going to be learning a couple of things on that of how Pastor Mike wants to implement that within children's ministry. Make sense? Okay.
Okay. So pre-briefing with your team. What that means is you're going to communicate with your teachers that are on your team, and you want to discuss what the lesson looks like, what you're going to plan in teaching your children, going over that together. The next one would be meeting the kids upstairs in the foyer. So when the kids are going to be dismissed from praise and worship upstairs with the family, they then are going to meet you out in the foyer area upstairs. You'll be holding up a big sign, whether your room is star room or square room. The children are going to know that this is the sign for their room, and then they will meet you upstairs, and they will come then downstairs with you into the classrooms. The next would be to take attendance. Taking attendance of your children is going to be some sheets that are in the classroom. Each of the tables are color coordinated. We're going to get into that a little bit later on in the slides more specifically. But what you're going to do is take the attendance of the children per each table that's color coordinated. So you have an orange table, a yellow table, a blue table, and you have a sheet of paper that then matches each table, and you're going to take attendance of the children per each table. The next would be talking about rules and expectations with your children. So they need to understand what the rules and the expectations are of the classroom, and you as the leaders are going to convey that message to your children. The next would be an introduction video. Most of the classrooms have videos that are with your lesson plan. So those videos will be set up for you on the computer. So all you have to do is click and play, and it's according to the lesson plan. And when you come down to the video portion of it, you just click that video, and the children then will dance and whatever is in the video. It's typically chorus, correct, Monique?
Yeah, so the intro video is according to the curriculum, and it's basically a host introducing the Bible story. Once they introduce the Bible story, then you can go to the next video, which is the Bible story, which is here. Kind of going also a little bit back, meeting the kids in the foyer upstairs, that is only for kindergarten to 6th grade. So today you're going to be getting your positions where you're going to be in children's ministry. It was also according to conversations that we've had of you of where your preference was. But that's only going to be from kindergarten to 6th grade. Kindergarten and under, right? So actually 5 years old and under, which is preschool, 2 years old, and nursery and ones, they are downstairs the entire service. So what that means is from 9:45 till 11:30, they are in their classrooms. So if you've been put in that position, if you requested wanting to work with the younger kids, that's the schedule for them of being able to work with them from 9:45 till 11:30. Okay. And then the intro video again is the host coming up from the curriculum, introducing the Bible story as well as introducing their main point.
Where were we?
Opening activity.
On open activity. So the opening activity, again, is going to be on your lesson plan that you are going to review in advance. And that opening activity can be a craft activity, it could be a singing activity, whatever it is, just be sure that you read it in advance and communicate with your team about that activity. The Bible story, Monique, if you can explain Bible story.
Yeah, so Bible story is another video. There's the intro video, the Bible story video, and then the outro video, Bible story video. You click on the video and be able to show it in the classroom. The kids will follow it along, and then you can ask questions afterwards about the video if you want to kind of get their take on it. Much later on during the trainings, it's up to you as a teacher if you want to continue using the videos. The curriculum does provide an area where you can actually do the Bible story yourself, and they give you options to be able to interact with the kids and be able to do different things. The biggest thing, though, is that for right now and during training, with the kids being dismissed from upstairs, we're just sticking to the videos. It helps consolidate the time. It helps also to keep everyone on a timely manner in regards to the different activities that need to take place. Does that have anyone have questions on that?
Is that the same for the younger children as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the preschool and 2-year-old, we're actually very excited because last rotation, we actually for Think Orange didn't have their curriculum for the preschool and 2-year-olds, and now we do. So the cool thing about that is that we now have a brand new curriculum for them. We were basing it off of the curriculums that we've used in the past. And so we're very excited about that. So yes, there are videos for the little ones as well as different kinds of activities and crafts and games that they have. Yes.
I want to make a comment.
Sure.
So I know it seems like a lot for people who are new. It's not. It literally is. It flows so sometimes we don't have enough time because the kids have so many things they want to say, and even if the younger ones, they little comments, they need that discussion. Those little videos give us like the gateway, and then they're like, and it's quick. Like it's so. And I know it seems like a lot, but it's really not. It's Orange is a good program. Like I started when you guys launched it. It's good.
So yes, that's the Bible story and outro video, and then closing activity, and then prayer, and then debrief.
If you'd like to explain closing activity, and then I'll get
Sure,
into
yeah.
the
So closing
debrief.
activity. So in your curriculum, we'll do that a little bit later in the slides, and even if we don't get enough time, we'll still be able to do an intro on it. For closing activity on the curriculum, what you're going to get is a PDF of the curriculum, and what's on there is, or what you're going to look at is a PDF. On there is different activities that you can choose from. They have it set already to be able to do different things, but then being able to do a closing activity, you can see it on there, and then the supplies are on there as well as the information that needs to happen. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, sweet.
Great. So prayer, dismissal, and debrief. It's important to pray with your children when it's time to close. You want to pray over each and every one together as a group. That is essential and important. The dismissal, we're going to get into more of the process of that, the check-in and the check-out shortly. And you want to debrief with your team. You want to talk with your team to see what went well, what worked, plan for the following week. Also, you want to talk to, if you're on team A, you want to communicate with team B and prepare then for the following week. So that way everyone is on the same page, everyone is in communication with each other, because it's important to know if something is going on with a particular child, that team B knows what is going on. So that way everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, does that make sense to everyone? So something that we're trying to implement, and it's kind of new, but the thing is, it's something that's really important to Pastor Mike for the culture of Kingdom Kids, is being able to actually have a team and be a team together, right? So what that looks like is that if you're on team B and you're not serving, right? So let's say it's your week's off, okay? You are going to you have two options. One option as a group, and you have to decide this as a group, not just with your team, but with like everyone in your classroom, is that you come downstairs and you meet together as a group, team A and team B, to debrief the service that you're not serving in. Does that make sense? Everyone with me? Right? So if you're serving on team A, right? If you're serving on team A, let's say today is team A, team B that's not serving, after service, you would come downstairs to your classroom that you normally serve in, and you would communicate with team A on the classroom. Like, hey, how was class? What was the lesson about? Hey, was there anything that went wrong? Was there anything that went right? What were the expectations? Was there any added expectation that happened during class that you spontaneously put in, right? Because of what was going on. Being able to do that, and then after that, then you guys can leave, right? You can do it that way, or the biggest thing is, though, if you're going to do it the other way, which is being able to communicate during the week as a group, I would suggest not using the group chat. That's a lot of conversation during a text chat, right? So then it's important to either do a Zoom call or a conference call with everyone, being able to really collaborate, because again, this is the part of, we're not two separate teams. We may be serving separately on 2 different weeks, but we're not 2 separate teams. You are the star room. You are the square room. Star room is kindergarten to second grade, right? You are in the 3rd and 4th grade room. You are in the 2-year-old room. You are in the preschool room. And it's really important that we collaborate as a team and we offer consistency, not only for ourselves, but for the kids as well. Make sense?
Amen.
Only on the second week, though, right?
No, it's every week.
Every week? Okay.
So it's every week. So that's, for example, if like today's team A, right, and next week is team A, then TB is coming downstairs on team A's week, just after service, coming to me. What went right? What went wrong? What do you want to change? Do we want to change anything? Were there any kids that stood out, right? And then you can shoot like a quick reminder text like, hey, this kid needed this, this, and this in the chat, right? But we don't want to make sure that in those group chats that we don't want to do like these prolonged conversations, right? Because I understand the whole notification thing, right? Of getting 10,000 different notifications in one group chat, right? We don't want that to happen. We want the group chat to be an efficient way of being able to collaborate, but all the other information being able to do that either in person or if you wanted to do a Zoom call or anything like that, right? And if you don't have capability for Zoom call, I do. So then you just shoot a text to either one of us, and then I can send you the link and things so that you can establish that for yourself. So you're not doing this on your own, okay? Make sense? Yes, okay.
The question,
Yep.
does each individual decide which one of those options to use?
Oh, so
I
you
would prefer for my team, team A and team B of K through second
We have some issues we can't check in that.
service.
Yep.
I think it's
So the thing is then, that's, yeah, so you have to talk about that with as a
The
group,
infant room is closed.
right? So you're talking about that with as a group, right?
No infant.
Team A, team B, right? So we're going to be sending the contact information to all of you to know who's team A, who's team B, but who's your classroom group, right? And then you communicate as a team about like preference and being able to how to communicate that, right? So for those two options. But we just have to make sure that that's what's happening so that we can be consistent with how we're communicating to the kids, the expectations and things, as well as being able to, this is something that's really important is, for example, we had a child who has been going through a lot in the past couple of weeks. And this was a little bit whiles ago, but team A was struggling with it, and they just would talk about it within their group, but it was no sharing on the outside. And then when Team B got the kid, Team B did the same thing. They talked about it amongst themselves, but then there was no sharing on the outside. And then there was 2 different expectations being had for that child, to the point where the child was so confused. And at the same time, there was no need being met for that child, right? We want to make sure that we're supporting you as best as we can, right? There are some things that we may know outside of it. Like if we had known outside of that, I had already known the parents, I had already known the child, and I already knew what worked. But if that wasn't communicated to me, then how am I supposed to help, right? And so the thing is that when that happened, the parents were frustrated, child was frustrated, and then it got to the place where then the parents took the child out of the classroom and kept the child out of the classroom. So now the child's staying upstairs, and where, yes, they could receive the word regardless, but they didn't get to interact with their peers. They didn't get to do so many different things. And so being able to communicate as a team and be able to communicate that also with the leadership that's here with Pastor Mike or Ida, it's being able to really implement the best support and care for that child, as well as for the family, and then as well as for yourselves,
Right.
right? We don't want any of you coming to children's church frustrated on a Sunday morning, like, oh, dang it, I gotta meet this kid again, and I don't know what I'm doing, right? Like, it's like, and then we already have that expectation of a bad behavior of a child, right? And so we don't want to get to that place. We want to get to the place where like, nah, I got people behind me, I got people in front of me to help me, I got people surrounding me. Not only that, but now I have someone for this child to be able to support them, to be able to support their family, right? And now it's that exactly that implementation of kingdom life, of community. We're developing community around this child, around this family, and around each other.
Amen.
Yeah? Okay, so that's really important for all of us, which is the reason why we're really trying to implement this type of culture, and what Pastor Mike, as you heard from last week, is super passionate about. Okay? All right. So we kind of already went with that. So understanding group chat and lesson prep and for switching weeks. Does anyone have any other questions on this? No? Okay. Pre-brief and debrief. Look at that. We're on a roll. All right, forms.
Forms. So again, as I said earlier about the forms for the tables of the children that you're going to sign in. You will find the forms in the room, in different locations. There's a slide that's going to specify the locations after. What the forms look like, again, is they're different colors and they're color coordinated for the tables of the room. There we go. Infants and ones is next to the door. The 2-year-old room, which is also called the oval room, is next to the cabinets. Circle room, which is the preschool room, is next to the cabinets in the area by the TV. The star room, kindergarten through 2nd grade, is next to the cabinets. Square room, 3rd and 4th, is next to the metal coat racks near the closet. And triangle room, which is amped 5th and 6th grade, is straight ahead by the thermostat. So I will always make sure that those forms are in your room. You just have to grab them, make sure you do the attendance of the children, and then at the end of the shift, you are to leave the forms in the resource room on my desk. Does anybody have any questions about the forms?
The form is only an attendance sheet?
The forms is only an attendance.
No, not just attendance sheets. There's more forms in there, so we'll go through that in a second. So there's
Oh, yes.
these forms.
So the team sign-in form. This also you're going to find there in the folders, and what this is for your team to sign in. So you're going to put your name there, your email and phone number, and the time that you came into the classroom. And we all are aware of the time that we are to report to the classrooms?
Yes.
Can somebody tell me the time? 9:15. Yes, 9:15. Thank you. Okay, next is the cleaning checklist. So the cleaning supplies are located inside the cabinet of the classrooms. And the cleaning supplies is you want to clean and sanitize. Well, let me back up a little bit. So you're coming to the classroom and everything will already be cleaned for you. So when you're leaving the classroom, you want to make sure that you clean and sanitize the tables and the countertops. And there will be wipes and sprays and cleanliness items in the classroom. You want to make sure that the group center and the chairs are arranged properly. The same way you found it, you want to leave it. Ensure that all the games that you played with your children are put away. You want to ensure that the room is vacuumed if it's dirty. Again, make sure that the chairs are neatly pushed together. All furnishings are clean and set up properly. Beverages. If there are any beverages in the classroom, just make sure you throw them out. If they have liquid in them, toss the liquid out in the bathroom. Like if there's a coffee cup or a cup with tea, just make sure you pour it out in the bathroom and then toss it out that way. Discard empty coffee cups, so on and so forth. You also want to empty the garbage bags and then replace the garbage bags. So you can leave the garbage. Do we want them to leave it?
You can leave it right outside the door.
I was going to say that.
You can leave it right outside the door. If you already know where the dumpster is, which is straight down the hall outside, you can dump it. I mean, you can put it in the dumpster if you want, if you're already leaving. A lot of times for a lot of teachers, if you want, you can park in the back parking lot, and then that way it's just easy access to come in and then easy access to go out. At the same time, for any cleaning, so there's disinfectant sprays. Just make sure you spray down all the chairs and tables. Anything that was touched, make sure you spray it down with the disinfectant spray. You don't have to wipe that disinfectant spray. You just spray it and leave it be. All right. And then for the Clorox wipes, those are there as well to wipe down chairs or like pens, pencils, anything that you tend to use, like little knickknacks and things for games and things like that, you can also use the wipes to wipe that down. Yeah, garbage you can leave outside the classroom door if you like are rushing and you parked upstairs, let's say, and you're not going to the dumpster, you can just leave it right outside the classroom. We'll pick it up afterwards.
Yep, and then last would be lesson supplies remaining should be neatly left on the counter for pickup. So we will provide all of the supplies that you need for any craft projects. But if there's anything left over, just kind of leave it neatly and then we will come around and pick those supplies up. And then finally, you want to report all carpet spills to the resource room. If there's something that's broken, if you don't have a vacuum or if the vacuum is broken, or let's say you notice that there's a hole in the wall, please let us know. It's important that we know these things so that we can take care of them right away. And on that sheet, if there's anything that you need to communicate to us, just let us know. Communication is very important. And that's pretty much it for the cleaning checklist. Does anybody have any questions? All right.
Yeah, so on that communication review, just to add, if there's anything that you're missing, spray, wipes, gloves, paper towels, tissues, anything at all, then you would be able to, you can put that in there on that sheet and then leave it on the counter so that lets us know and then we can just replace it. Cool? All right, so incident report. It does not look like this. It actually looks like this. This beautiful red paper, right? So incident report is basically what we're doing is, this is to keep records of things that happen within the classroom, right? What I mean by that is anything that, let's say you have a child that is just, perfect example, a child that's climbing on the table or hiding under the table or hiding under a chair and is refusing to come out. Or, you know, a child that's running around the room and refuses to sit down, anything like that of that nature behaviorally, you are filling out a report if it gets to be too much, right? What that means as well is that once you fill out this report and you call us, right, because we do have to sign it. So Ida or Pastor Mike, not us. I'm not included in that. Ida and Pastor Mike is included in that. They're the ones coming to sign it. That means that child is leaving the room. Is everyone clear on that? Right? So that child is leaving the room and the parent is being called to make sure that we're letting them know that, hey, your child was having a really rough day today and we just want to talk about what's going on during the week. What happened this morning? It was just a bad morning? What's going on? The reason for this is that we want to keep record of if there's multiple occasions this child so that we can provide resources and things like that for the parent and support the parents and the child so that they can both have a wonderful Sunday when they come in for service. Does that make sense to everyone? All right, what also you do is for medical. Let's say a child is playing on the chair and all of a sudden cuts their finger, or they were picking at a scab that they got from, you know, whatever during the week and it starts bleeding. You are filling out an incident report for that, okay? You're filling that out, then you're communicating that to us, to Ida and Pastor Mike, as well as for them to sign it. You will also be filling that out, making sure that you're putting don't put the child's name. You don't have to put the child's name. You are putting the name of the child at the top anyway, but just in case anything like that, you don't have to put it in the summary. To that note, if there is an incident between two children, okay, so let's say all of a sudden during a game it got heated, all of a sudden one shoves the other one starts shoving back, you know, got real competitive, whatever the case, right? That's an incident report, right? So we're filling out the incident report. You're putting 2 incident reports. Does that make sense to everyone? 1 for each child. You're putting that child's name, but the other child that they had the altercation with is not going in here. Does that make sense to everyone? You are not putting that other child's name on the incident report, right? You're just doing the 2 separate ones, their names only, and the other child that they had is not going in there. But you are describing the incident as been told to you. Then Pastor Mike or Ida will come in. They will come in, assess, and then sign their name. Once that happens, this will then be communicated to the parents, okay? If there's an altercation between 2 kids, most of the time we're not taking them out of the classroom, depending on how severe it was. So what happens is then you're keeping this form and you're handing it to the parents, letting them know what's going on, having the parent sign it, and then making a copy for them. The original is going to go back to Ida. Is that clear to everyone? All right. If it's a medical emergency in the child or behavioral that they both need to be removed from the room, you are giving this paper to either Ida or Pastor Mike, and they're the ones communicating to the parents to hand out for copies. Does that make sense to everyone? I know this is a lot of information, all right? And you'll learn as you go along. But just this is really important for incident reports, okay? Yes?
So just to clarify, the critical, the more serious ones, then they get it. But the ones that are not so serious incidents,
What do you define a not so serious incident?
like the kid who's gone under the table, the kid who's shoved the other kid. Now, if the kid got into hitting and punching and drawing blood or making blood on boobs, then that's critical.
That's a critical, and yes, that child will be removed. But the child that's shoving the other kid, right? That's still doing this, and that's still being communicated to Ida or Pastor Mike. And then once they assess that, if the child needs to be removed from the room, then the parent's being called, right? Or whatever the case. But the thing is, once the child is removed from the room, this goes to them. Okay? For the child that stays in the room, you're keeping that and we'll make a copy and then talking with the parent. Does that make sense? You had a question?
That was my question, the timing of things. So if something happens, there's a kid that's under the table, if he needs to come out, participate, they're just under the table, incident report, the child stays, but it's,
No, that child leaves,
okay.
right? So if there's a disruption in the classroom and it's to the point where you're filling out an incident report and calling us, that child's leaving.
So every time you fill that out, I'm calling Ida or Pastor Mike.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep. Whenever this is being filled out, because they have to sign it. It's required.
They have to sign it like in real time, like.
In real time.
Okay.
In real time. The time that you're filling out this incident report, you're communicating to Ida or Pastor Mike or telling the coordinators, any of the coordinators, to get Ida or Pastor Mike so that they can be able to do that.
And that's what the red phone.
So we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
However, if it's something like a Band-Aid that the child needs, then you will hang on to the form because the child is not being removed from the classroom. You're going to hang on to the form so that way the parent could then be notified and sign it. And then at the end of the day, you will bring that incident report to myself.
Right.
Okay.
So actually, to that point, youth, okay, you are not filling this out. If you witness something, okay, if you witness something, you are letting your adult teacher know, and that adult teacher is filling this out. Is that clear with everyone? Right? So making sure that if you saw the kid get hit or you saw the kid get their head hit by the ball, whatever the case, and they got a mark, right? You're letting the adult teacher know. The adult teacher is the one filling this out, and they're the ones handling it. Understood? Okay. Yeah, so we're just making sure parent guardian is making sure that they signed it, making sure that the incident is summarized, and then if there was ever a nurse, EMT was called, that's for the severe cases. This folder is the red folder. It's on Ida's desk, all right? If, when after service, so you get the incident report, the one that you're keeping and having the parents sign and getting a copy of, that's still in your hands. You're taking that, you're bringing it to the resource room that's right across the hall. There's a folder on her desk that's just labeled just like this, and you're putting it in there. Any questions on that? Nope? All right, bear with us. We're almost there. Oop. There we go. So check in. All right. Check in real quick because kids are about to be dismissed. So for check in, what's going to happen is kind of a rundown of a Sunday service. You're coming at 9:15. You're coming to training from 9:15 to 10:15. For those of you that are in preschool and 2-year-olds, you are actually going straight to your room at 9:15, discussing with your team your pre-brief, right? Going over the lesson that's been given, everything else. Then afterwards, you're staying in your classrooms for preschool. For those of you that are kindergarten to 6th grade, you're coming to the training here, right? From 9:15 to 10:15. Once you do that for check-in, kids are getting their tags from 9:30 to 10:15. They're getting their tags. Does anyone have a tag in here by any chance? Yes. Oh, we got 2 of them right here. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you. All right, so tags, right? This is the kids tag. This is what it looks like. There's a code on the side. This is a parents tag, right? We are making sure child has one of these, and make sure the date is correct, okay? Please make sure the date is correct thank you, Siri. So making sure that the date is correct for the tag. I've had parents come from Easter tags to till now, that they've held on to it for so long. They didn't come for Easter and they came and put it on their kit, and they still had the guardian tag. So it was funny because it kind of worked, but it didn't. So it's really important that they have the correct date on the tag, and then the parents need to make sure that they're showing you this. All right, it's really important that they show you this. All right, at the same time, thank you. Yes, making sure that the codes match, and as well as making sure that for check-in, all right, when the kids are dismissed from upstairs, you're bringing them down, you're going to the classrooms. Once you get to the classrooms, you're filling out the attendance. Lead teachers are filling out their master sheet. Small group teachers are making sure they fill out their attendance sheet, which is what Ida was talking about, the different color attendance sheets. All right, making sure that we do that, so then that way from there, for check-in, you have that attendance. Reason why we're doing this, okay? Making this crystal clear. You need to make sure you have your attendance, because if any emergency occurred, whether that was a lockdown, whether that was a fire drill, however, you need to make sure that you have a list of your kids with you. We are not going to be dependent on just the master list. If we have a lead teacher with their master list and they're like, oh, I got this, it's like, no. Your small group needs to have that with you, because you need accountability to double check. Okay? One of the things definitely important for emergencies, for fire drills, on each, if you guys can look at the back, right above the red phone by Johanny, there is a map on the side of the wall. Thank you. Each classroom has a map on the side of the wall above the phone or next to the phone. And there's also one on the other side of the room, because a lot of you have double doors, is next to the wall as well. There is a route path that you need to take to get to where you need to go. Where we're meeting is on this side, right, where the pools are. We're going all the way up to the top of the hill there, that grassy hill by the gazebo. That is where we're meeting, okay? So if there was ever a fire drill, you hear the alarm go off, those kids, you're leading them out the pathway, you're going up around to the back of the parking lot, you're going up around, unless you're part of the nursery or star room, you may be going through the double doors right straight out. You're staying on the sidewalk path that's paved. You're going up towards the gazebo. You need to make sure that attendance with you everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. That is technically your lifeline to making sure that you have your kids with you and you're double checking. All right. Greeters and ushers will be coming downstairs as well to help with the evacuation of the kids if there ever needs to be a case for that. But that's the really important part of it, and that's the reason why we keep attendance. Because if ever there was ever a chance that we had a missing kid, there was ever a chance of a lockdown, if there was ever a chance of a fire drill, trust me, we've been surprised by fire drills in the past, right? And so we want to make sure that we're doing our best to make sure that we're prepared, right? This isn't just about, parents freaking out, and it's making sure that we're prepared and we're keeping track of our kids. Okay? So that is check-in. Rule of 3 for bathroom. Yes.
Going back what you said on the fire drill.
Yep.
Another thing is, if I'm a mom and I'm teaching and the house is burning, I say, oh, I'm gonna get Jackie. No, somebody else is gonna get my daughter. I'm in charge of my kids in my classroom. Even if you're a mom and you worry about it, no, leave them there, and then you take what you have. And then somebody else is gonna take your child out. Because I know we used to go, no, but that's, you take yours that you're teaching, and they take them.
Yes, great point on that. So, as you know, Pastor Marco has a couple of kids down here, right? As you know, a couple of pastors have their children down here. Since I'm not on staff anymore, I can probably say this. You can break their nose if they come at you. right? I'm being so serious right now. The thing is, right, it's really important. A lot of the parents will try to rush downstairs to get to their kids. We are making sure we've already told them over intercom, we've told them over the alarm, we've told them the security ushers, I love y'all parents. But here's the deal. We are making sure that we have every possible explanation and serious strategy to get your kids out to a safe place. We're already telling all the parents that we're going to meet them over there, right? So the parents will be outside in the parking lot right by the fence, and that's how we're going to be able to usher kids out to their kids, right? But if I see one of y'all parents coming down to the classroom where you're not supposed to be, I will shove you. I will tell you, go do your, your kid's fine. Your kid is okay. We're going to do this. And I get where it's like automatic nerves and it's like, nah. And I get it, but I will face Mama Bear if I need to, right? Or even Papa Bear, right? Anyone, because the thing is that we're making sure that if you come rushing to your kid, then that means someone else's kids are not being watched over. And that means those parents, what's happening to them? Okay, so we just have to trust that process of being able to do that. Not only that, but then it creates a bottleneck for even just trying to get kids to safety.
And a distraction.
Yes.
Another thing with the tag, before you go to the roof of 3, somebody come to my classroom and I know you for many years and you don't have the tag, Amanda. I love you to death. I won't give her.
Right.
Jay,
Well, we're gonna go over that. We're just about to go over that for tags. Just real quick for rule of 3. Going to the bathroom. I've been seeing a lot lately. Rule of 3 is 1 adult, 2 children, 2 adults, 1 child. Does that make sense? Right? 3 people need to come with you to the bathroom. Right? What we've been doing is that we've been communicating with the admin team to help you, right? Because a lot of times when you're in the classroom, you have a small group, you can't just walk out. You got your kids at your table, right? So being able to call any one of us, we'll come in, we'll take the kids to the bathroom for you so that you can still continue the flow of the lesson within the room. Make sense? All right. And we are going to leave it there. We'll continue next week. Right now, I think the kids are about to get dismissed from upstairs for exhortation. So for those of you who are serving today, you can grab your signs, be able to go upstairs. For those of you who are not serving, if you can just remain in here for a few minutes, just so that we can go over, check out real quick, because that's the part of the tags. So with tags, all right, as I showed you before, there was a tag for the kid and the tag for the adult, right? As Johanny was even commenting, if you do not have your guardian tag, then you are not able to pick up your child. And I say that kind of lightly. We do have a process for parents if they do not have their tag that you do need to fill out, which is basically a guardian receipt. I'll put a slide up in a second. That guardian receipt is in the classrooms, and what it is the parent needs to fill out that form to the T, and then we will keep that for our records. The reason for that, and the reason why we've implemented those things, is we've had situations where parents are going through a custody battle. We've had situations where just some kids and some parents are just going through some stuff, all right? Where just for a period of time, the parent is now been restricted from picking up their child. And so a lot of times we've had those type of parents, come downstairs and try to pick up their child without us knowing about anything that's going on. And we just kind of let them go, right? And so the thing is that it's really important for all of us to check the tag, make sure the code matches the tag, right? Including you youth, if you're ever put at the door, make sure you're checking the parent tag with the child tag, right? If the child, so this is happening too, even with some of y'all, right? When you lose your tag, when a child loses a tag, playing around and stuff and loses a tag in the classroom, they're still filling out a guardian tag. They're still filling out a guardian receipt, right? One cool thing though, if a child loses their tag, one thing tidbit for teachers, when you write down your attendance, okay, here's a little trick. You write down their attendance, you write down their name, and then you write down the code next to their name. So if the child does lose their tag, but the parent has their tag, you can check it with the code next to the child's name, and you're good to go. So you get to skip a step. You don't have to do another guardian receipt, right? But if the parent does not have their tag, they are mandated. I don't care if it's Pastor Marco or Minister Lauren or Pastor Thomas, right? We are making sure every single parent, if they do not have their guardian tag, they are filling out a guardian receipt to the letter, okay? Everything that's on there, they're filling it out. You're making sure you have a copy of it, or not a copy, but make sure that you have it with you so that you can hand it to us, because we need to keep record of that, because we've had it in the past where a parent came, they weren't supposed to be with their kid. And so that's the information we're passing on to if the police have to get involved or anything like that. And it's happened before. So that's the reason why we do that. Yes?
This is a parent question. If I take a picture of my pickup.
Doesn't count.
Okay.
Doesn't
It
count.
has to be the hard.
Has to be the original.
That's what I
Because
wanted to know.
I've had parents take a picture of the other person's tag that wasn't supposed to take the kid.
Okay. I was like, what if Dan took a picture and then texted?
Nope.
Yeah, okay, hard copies. That's
Hard
good.
copy. Has to be a hard copy. Not playing any games with this.
Yeah, no,
This
that's
is
good.
This is just for a matter of safety for our kids and a matter of safety for our parents and for us. Okay? All around. Make sense? Yes.
Let's say the parent with the child has to leave for an emergency.
Yep.
And say they have a relative here. Can they give the relative the child and say, please pick up so and so from the kindergarten, or do they?
Yeah. So, great question. So this is a part that's a little tricky, right? So if you have to leave, right, and you give it to a relative, it would be really important if you then texted that to us, right? So that's really important in that stance. I know that there's, for like some parents, they just don't know that, or like they're not figuring that out, or it's like you're already, if it's an emergency, your mind is going towards emergency, not so much of that. We've also had parents where you've got multiple kids and you want your kids to pick up, you know, the child rather than you do it yourself, right? We're going to trust that. But the thing is that's what it's going to be. We're going to trust that. It's important, and we have communicated to to actually a lot of parents, to say, hey, if there is going to be a change, please notify us, right? Just let us know. Whether that's a quick text to Kingdom Kids, because we do have a Kingdom Kids phone number to text to, you know, absolutely, you can do that and just send us a quick message saying, hey, had an emergency. And not only that, but if you are going to emergency or anything, for us to know that, so we can just pray for you, right? This is a community. This isn't like something like that's just, you know, we're just help to serve your kids and then boot them back, right? This is so much more than that, right? And so being able to hear, like, have that type of conversation, whether that's a shoot, quick text, or anything like that, is important. Does that make sense? So this is the guardian receipt that I was just talking about. Everything that needs to be filled out to the letter. Date, classroom, time, child's name, parent's name, child's address, parent's signature, and then KLC leadership signature is actually going to be Ida or Pastor Mike. So you're also calling them when that has to happen. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah? One of the ways that we're doing the phone calls, we're calling Pastor Mike or Ida, is we've been having, unfortunately, a really rough time with the phones. So what we're doing is walkie-talkies. There will be a walkie-talkie in your classroom. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. Wrong. That's not true. Because we changed it again. What's going to happen is that group chat that we talked about, I remember that we talked about that group chat. In that group chat is when you're going to be notifying us. So whether bathroom break, emergency, we may even utilize it for a lockdown, and then guardian tag receipt. In that chat, you'll say, square room or whatever the case need Pastor Mike or Ida, right? Or need admin, so that they know that which room they're going to, as well as for anything like that. Does that make sense to everyone? Was that clear with everyone? So you're making sure you utilize your phone and you're sending it in the chat that you've been placed in.
You'll be getting those chats beginning next week from me.
Yep, when you're starting.
Is the chat gonna be on WhatsApp?
No, it's going to be on a text message.
So yeah, it's a text group chat.
So the entire team will be on that text.
Because we also understand that you have a lot of apps on your phone and some people don't have WhatsApp. All right, this is the map for the evacuation that will be in either rooms. This is just for 2-year-olds for their route, but each one will have red line going towards the route that you're going to take. All right, lockdown. Okay, so if you can look back there, there's a little clear box right next to the door frame, right above the light switches. That is the lockdown box. What that looks like is that inside you'll see this lever. That lever, when there's a lockdown, you will hear, you'll probably get in the group chat a specific code. The code changes every Sunday. We will make sure to communicate that code. Right now, we're trying to figure out from security just what that looks like. But you will get a code in the chat. That code will let you know whether we're implementing a lockdown, okay? Then that's the code that you will know, so that if anyone's trying to get into the door, they have to know that code. Does that make sense to everyone? So that lever on the bottom of the door, there's this little metal square that has a slot, right? That specifically matches to the lever, the red lever that's there in the box, okay? You're gonna slide it in there and make sure it slides to the bottom slot there. That way the door can't open. I will tell you, it's super safe. Minister Lee broke a door with other ones. With this one, he couldn't even get through the door. And for those of you who know Mr. Lee, he's pretty big of trying to break through. So this will be put in, and then what happens is you will try to find an area within the classroom that is outside of view of the small window from the door. Does that make sense to everyone? So when you're going in as your team with your team in the classroom, it's important for all of you to communicate with one another, of agreeing which area of the room you're going to take. Now, I know this is just for precaution, right? Praying that this never happens. There will also be towards the end of the year that we will practice this, just so that everyone can kind of get a run through of what that looks like for a lockdown and a emergency fire evacuation. Okay?
Practice with the kids or just with the teachers?
Both. Yeah, so it's going to be involving everyone. So security, ushers, greeters, just everyone. Real quick, so videos, microphones, and alarms, we'll go over that next week for curriculum and everything else. One big thing that I want to say is for Curriculum Think Orange, you're going to get an email from us for you to set up your account so that you can access the curriculum. And once you access the curriculum, then we'll go over next week of how to really go through it. This is what the PDF looks like, but being able to go into the curriculum, you'll fill out the account, you'll put your username and password. Once you get in, there will be a bunch of months. It'll give you the whole year. So you have the entire curriculum at your disposal, and you can go over it as much as you want. It's really best to work on it from a laptop or a tablet. On your phone, it can be a little tricky, but if you practice it, you'll get used to it. We will also send a quick how-to. It's just a sheet with how to get to it and follow along with the prompts of accessing the curriculum and going through it. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions? Any at all? Yes.
You said this already. Next week, the before is just for the K through 6.
So Team A will be on for next Sunday.
Okay.
And so you'll be getting what that looks like through an email.
Okay.
All right? Of positions, dates, all of that jazz. Does that make sense? All right, of where you're going to be. How many? Yes, go ahead.
When you guys gonna send that email?
Probably today. I have it all, so I'll just send it today to everyone. All right, and then it'll also have your paper of all the people on your team and the dates everyone's serving, so you can just coordinate. Make sense?
Also, if anyone has not received an email from me already,
Yes.
please let me know because I may not have the appropriate email on file for the new folks. I've also sent out background checks. It's very important that we have that back. So that's pretty much it.
How many of you
got
do
your
not
schedule.
have a shirt? One of these
Shirts.
Sorry, I just
Okay.
realized what I did. For those of you who do not have a shirt, you can grab with Ida in the resource room. You can go ahead and grab a shirt. Only t-shirts. You can pick your color, size over there, and your shirt is free. If you want to get a long sleeve, because I know fall and winter are coming, they're $5 for your first one, and then $10 everything after. And we have purple and red in long sleeve. Yes. Yes. The reason, that's a great question, because the reason why we're wearing those shirts, perfect example, right? The reason why we're wearing those shirts is because fire drill, lockdown, you are being pointed out. Because here's the deal. Everyone, that was a great question, by the way. If you're not wearing a shirt and there's a fire drill, security has already been mandated to kick you out. What I mean by that is you're not going anywhere near those kids. So if you're not wearing your shirt and it so happens that we have a lockdown or a fire drill and you're saying, well, I'm a teacher, but I've got kids, but this is my small group. They're not listening to your words. They're telling you need to leave because you don't have a shirt on. This is your indicator of being able to say, I am part of Kingdom Kids. All right? I am part of Kingdom Kids. I am part of the classroom. I am part of serving today. Right? Now, if you're wearing this on an off Sunday, just so you know, just follow along with everyone else. But it's really important in that sense to make sure you have your shirt on, because the thing is security as well. If you're coming late service, right? Let's say you had emergency, car trouble, whatever, and you come late, security is also mandated at the top of the stairs and even in the back not to let anyone in. That's a normal Sunday. That's like just a regular Sunday. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, you have to show your tag to walk
Yep.
upstairs.
As an adult, for getting your kid, you have to show your tag to security in order to get down the stairs. As a teacher or anything like that, they need to know, right? So here's the deal. It's making sure that this is the indicator that you are serving on that day for you to go down. Does that make sense? Right? So this is much more than just a fashionable t-shirt, right? It's so much more than that. It's letting everyone know that you're serving on that day, that you're a part of Kingdom Kids, be able to come downstairs. Okay? So great question, Jacob. That was wonderful. Any other questions? All right. So we're just going to close out in prayer, and then we'll get going. All right, so you can enjoy the service. God, we just thank you for this morning. God, we thank you for each and every person here, Lord. God, we just thank you, Lord, for everything that you're doing in children's ministry. Lord, we just ask a blessing, Lord, over every single person here. God, all those that are serving, that have decided to come into children's ministry, we ask for a blessing over them, Lord, a strength. Father, that through in the midst of all this information, God, that it is stored and put away, God, and that in the times and moments that needs to be used, that it just comes up quickly. And Lord, I just ask, God, for just such a peace, God, for those, Lord, that are just feeling a little nervous. God, just a peace over them knowing that, God, you've got this. Lord, you've got this, and that you are putting all the giftings and things you've already placed in them to be able to do everything that you have set them up for in these classrooms and with these kids. And God, we just ask, Lord, for just a blessing over our children, God. Lord, that such a love would be in every classroom, God, that over our teachers, Lord, over the volunteers now, God, that there just be such an atmosphere of rest for them, God, peace and strength, God, and a rejuvenation, God, of what they're about to do, God, and what they're doing moving forward. Lord, we just thank you for who you are. God, we thank you for that we are going to be conduits of your Spirit to move into these classrooms. God, to speak into these children. And God, that even more so that they're going to speak into us. They're going to be able to speak into us and call out those things that we may not be comfortable with. But Lord, that you are calling out of us. Lord, to be able to just grow and move forward. So Lord, we thank you for everything that you do and all of you are. In Jesus' name, everyone said,
Amen.
Amen. All right, so for those of you who didn't get an email, make sure to come up to Ida, let her know so that Megan confirming things.